What's up, Chicago? This is the CHGO podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. I am Kevin Kaduk. This is day 7 of the action here at CHGO. Hope you've been enjoying things. I've been having a blast, and it's due in large part to not only the guys here, but all the great effort here at CHGO. Here today with Adam Hoge, Luke Stuckmeyer, and Herb Lawrence. This is kind of our Voltron show. We talk about Chicago sports and kind of just what's going on and you know, put away our really deep dives into our individual beats and just have a good time for an hour. Today we are talking Aaron Rodgers and Chicago sports enemies. But let's get started first talking about the big news of the week here in Chicago, even though it involves a Green Bay Packer. Aaron Rodgers is back. Herb, does that make you sad or glad?
I'm very happy. Having the best player, best quarterback, I believe, in the history of the game. I know you guys are Tom Brady people, whatever. I think he plays the position better than any other quarterback has ever played the position. If he was on those Tom Brady teams in New England, he would have won Super Bowls. Besides that, you need the Bears to see a beacon. You need them to see, hey, that's the gold standard.
Yeah.
We don't want to win by default. We don't want to win by 8-8 records. We see Justin Fields needs to say, okay, he's the 4-time MVP. How do I get there? I'll see him play. I need to match his effort. So it's great to have a person there like Aaron Rodgers, even though he's a jerk.
Yeah.
And he'll kill the Bears forever.
Wait, he's a jerk?
He's one of the worst people of all time. But he is the standard at quarterback, in my opinion. So you need to have that type of goal set for Justin Fields to look at that and say, that's where I need to be.
Just don't be a jerk.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, Herb, although I think at this point they don't need to see it anymore. Like, the Bears and Bears fans have certainly already decided that he's the best quarterback that's ever been in this competition for sure. Like, they don't need to lose 62 times for them to realize it. They don't need him to come out and discount and double-check 5 more times in the next game. Yeah. They know what the bar is. And I don't know that Justin Fields is ever getting there. I'd just appreciate if he'd get there somewhere, like, in the ballpark. Like, get somewhere close to Aaron Rodgers and Bears fans be happy. You do want to beat the best, and that'll make it satisfying. You don't want to have that, hey, the Bears get there, and then everybody's just still saying, well, yeah, you only got there because Aaron Rodgers had retired.
Yeah.
I get that part of it, but I do think they already know what the bar has been set at, and it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm glad because, as you guys know, I don't get to cover a lot of great quarterback play. So to be able to see Aaron Rodgers twice a year in person is a treat. And, you know, he's just so good. You can hate him all you want. He is a jerk. Longtime listeners, I know that I call him Good Jay Cutler because that's what he is. He's basically Jay Cutler off the field. On the field, he's way, way better. And the fact that he is chasing and could end his career with the greatest touchdown to interception ratio, especially in the last 5 years, he just doesn't turn the ball over anymore. So it's a very selfish answer, but I'm happy I still get to watch him twice a year, and he didn't go to the AFC.
Yeah, I'm very conflicted. I think it's always awesome, especially for what we do, to have that really big anti-hero, and he's really kind of made a villain turn this past year. I think there was a begrudging respect here in Chicago for him because he was so talented, and I even think, we had talked maybe about the possibility, could Aaron Rodgers ever become a Chicago Bear? What would that look like? Could, when Brett Favre went and became a Minnesota Viking, could it be the same sort of dynamic? And I think maybe we talked ourselves into, that'd be great, Now we're looking at he's a Packer again for 4 more years, and we know all the stats. 23-5 against the Chicago Bears since 2008. Hasn't thrown an interception since that Bears clincher of the NFC North in 2018. I thought we thought maybe that was really the time the Bears were going to get over the hump. It wasn't. In the last 4 games, Aaron Rodgers has had 4 touchdown games against the Bears. So he's really posting big numbers, and I think we're kind of maybe hoping that this $200 million contract, he's disputing that. We're not exactly sure what the number is at, but we're hoping that maybe, tilts the balance of power. The Packers won't be able to compete. How do you look at that, Adam? Is this really going to be an albatross on the Packers books?
Well, it could work out in the Bears' favor if they can finally fix their offense. You know, this is more of a general look at all these games I've covered in recent years between these two teams, but typically the Bears are able to slow him down a little bit. Maybe not so much the last couple of years; those games have gotten a little out of hand. But you know, there was a stretch there where the Bears defense could slow him down, and then he would just kill you with like that dagger in the fourth quarter after you played him so well for 3 quarters. All of a sudden, like I think about the 2018 game to start the season at Lambeau Field, where like really the Bears had contained them for most of the game, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, here's a 50-yard bomb, here's a 50-yard bomb. And the problem in those games is just the Bears could not keep up offensively. So I think you can at least get into a spot if you could fix the offense where there's certainly going to be holes on that Green Bay Packer team going forward with these cap issues.
Have been.
There already have been. He covers up a lot of them offensively. You know, guys like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Alan Lazard, like these are just guys at wide receiver.
Exactly.
Aaron Jones is a little bit better at running back, but there's been a long time. They went through a long stretch before Aaron Jones got there where they really didn't have running. They didn't really have a running game for a long time under Mike McCarthy. So there's gonna continue to be holes on that team. Just he covers up so many of them that that's what makes. But I think that's why they end up losing in the playoffs, really, because you do have to have more than just a quarterback in the playoffs.
That's the one beauty is getting to watch him lose in the playoffs. I will say, like, I didn't hate Aaron Rodgers, and hate's a tough word, but I didn't despise Aaron Rodgers as much as I do now. And really, it was the fans thing in the corner. Like, for me, that set it over the edge. Like, we all know you're beating up on the Bears your entire career. There's never been a Bears game where they don't put your record at the top and then run down the list of all the other quarterbacks that have played for the Bears. Every single game they play, they always have that. But that kind of crossed the line for me, and I thought it was interesting that former Bears were really ticked off by it.
But the problem, Luke,
ticked off by it,
was that not enough current players were ticked off
right,
by it.
Yes.
You know, like, and that's where the response, I think you should have had Matt Nagy get to the podium and like condemn that a little bit more. And obviously we don't necessarily know it was addressed in the team meetings and things like that, but there just wasn't enough opposition to what he did because it should have ticked you off.
Right.
I don't know if it necessarily crossed the line because it was true, but it should have crossed the line if you were a player. Like, you should have taken that personally, and I think some maybe did, but there wasn't enough pushback to that, and they sure as hell didn't show it when they went to Lambeau later in the season.
I mean, it's punking you on your own field in front of your fans and mostly saying it to your fans. You should have a response to that. Like you said, there should have been somebody, Roquan Smith, anybody on that defense, just like, we're not having that. Say what you want, beat us on the field, but punching down and talking to our fans like that, unacceptable.
Someone could have gotten in his face in the moment, quite frankly.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, maybe they didn't really see it because we heard it on the broadcast, but I just think that Aaron Rodgers, no matter what, if he has Jordy Nelson, if he has Randall Cobb, if those wide receivers and those tight ends keep on going, it doesn't matter. He's the GOAT. He will make that work. Now Devontae's coming back because they have a franchise tag on him. MVS is probably going to be gone. They'll find number 2. Lazar will be number 2 now. Or then they'll have somebody else, like Geronimo Allison a couple years ago got on fire for a couple of years to Illini.
Sky point.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. The guy is all football. All he cares about is football, and he gets these guys in shape. And if you're not in shape, you're going to be shipped out immediately. And if the GM ship you out, like he had the friendship with that tight end, I forgot his name, Kumaro, and they shipped him out, and he was pissed at the GM, and he was pissed at the Packers for that. Now they know, like, hey, Aaron's the GM. We're going to give him the choice to pick the players because we don't want that whole saga again, because we know if Aaron goes away, Green Bay goes away. That's simple as it has happened. That's why Green Bay acquiesced to what he wants, because he's awesome.
The path to the Super Bowl with him for Green Bay is pretty clear. Like, when you look at now Russell Wilson going to AFC West and you look at some of the teams that are in the AFC, you're like, well, he should be pretty glad he's staying in the NFC, because if there's an easier path to getting to the Super Bowl, he's got it. And I just can't swallow that. I know you want to play the best guy, and I know we want to cover the best guy, but for me, I don't see how the current Bears team beats him next season.
They don't.
So, all right, so it's 62, 63, more throwing it in our face in the stands? Is it one more year after that before he?
Well, I will say this: you've now extended the possibility that Aaron Rodgers will see the Bears at least 8 more times, up to 8 times. Who knows what will happen health-wise? We really need the Bears to really come up and slay the dragon once and for all. At least with Brett Favre, for as much as he killed the Bears, we still got that final moment up in Minnesota at the Gopher Stadium. Corey Wooten just driving him in, ending his career. You know, that was at least we got that. I need the Bears to at least sweep one of these, get in that position.
Well, I'll tell you one guy though who I know will be motivated to do something about that, and that's the Bears quarterback, Justin Fields.
Hope so, yeah.
Like, I think I only asked him one question this year that he probably really hated, like really did not appreciate, and that was when I compared the Bears-Packers rivalry to Ohio State-Michigan, and I said the problem here though is that you're Michigan. Right, like you're the team, and this was before they played this year, by the way, the Ohio State-Michigan game. The Bears are the Michigan in this rivalry, and as a Buckeye, I'm pretty sure he did not appreciate that. But also, like, that's the response you want him to have, right? You want him to be like, wait a minute, like, I don't want to be Michigan in this rivalry. Like, let's go do something about that. So, he's obviously nowhere near to Aaron Rodgers' level as a player at this point. He definitely has a lot of talent. And if that's your leader that starts to take it personally, as we've been talking about here, who doesn't appreciate what he said to the fans in the corner in your own building, then that can go a long way.
And that's just great to hear, because I think all the time, whether it's the Packers, Bears, Red Wings, Blackhawks, Cardinals, Cubs, we hear the players pay lip service to that rivalry. And you hear those things and you say, okay, yeah, but not really. You don't hate those teams as much as we do. You haven't sat through these rivalries for decades. You're here for 5 or 6 years. So to hear Justin Fields really take that to heart and apply some of that Michigan, Ohio State hatred, to me, is encouraging.
I mean, that is exactly what it is. That's a great thing. And Justin, while I was watching those press conferences, Justin Fields didn't like a lot of questions. He was just like, quick answers. And I'm sure he took that to heart. He's like, oh, this son of a bitch, Michigan. Yeah. I can't believe it. That team up north. But yes, fans take these things personally. There's a lot of Packers fans down here, and they're talking a lot of mess to these Bears fans. Yeah, and remember when Aaron Rodgers lost and the Packers lost in the playoffs? That was like the Bears winning the Super Bowl. Just dunking on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. It's the best day
everywhere.
For Bears fans.
I'll tell you one thing, though. I walked to the bus stop. My neighbor is a huge Packers fan. The day after he signed, I said, you're married for another 4 years. What do you think of that? You thought you were getting out of this. And he was like, man, I just wish he would have went to Denver. I don't want to deal with this drama anymore.
There are Packers fans that have had enough.
You'd be surprised. There is a very, like, it's definitely not the majority, but there's maybe even like a third of Packer fans that are kind of fed up with the guy and how especially how he handled last offseason. And then I think a lot of people also were turned off by the vaccine stuff this year. And it's enough, as crazy as it sounds, that there was a subset of Green Bay Packer fans who were like, no, it's time to move on.
I'm shocked that relationship hasn't soured, because you're Aaron Rodgers and you've been to one Super Bowl, and
that's part of it.
Like how is this still a marriage? I don't really get it.
Because they know it's held up by him. The Packers are held up by him. Like,
but why is Aaron still there? I don't know.
Huh?
Why is Aaron Rodgers still there?
Well,
because he's good.
I mean,
$200 million.
I think he can make his most money there.
Yeah.
I mean, and without the Packers being willing to trade a bunch of draft picks to, or the opposite
Oh, you mean
way,
why is he staying there instead of leaving?
Right.
I mean, that's his best way. That's his best way to make his most money. Like going to Denver, there's no guarantee there. Then the pressure's on Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. 100%. They're a team ready to win. If they're in Green Bay, you could just coast, win the NFC North again, get beat in the playoffs again, and everybody's like, yeah, we're great. Oh, man, well, at least we're not the Bears. The Bears still suck. Exactly. They're just going to be happy. But I couldn't believe, like, would they want Jordan Love to be the quarterback? I knew that was a mistake when they made the pick. And they kind of compared it to the Aaron Rodgers situation. Like, no, Aaron was the number one quarterback with him and Alex Smith in his draft. He just helped him to
Remember that draft night we celebrated. We thought, oh, Aaron Rodgers is getting this thrown into his face. And now 2 years later, it's like, oh, he's still here.
I mean, they would have traded
that first round pick.
I think they would have traded Aaron Rodgers if Jordan Love was any although
they turned on Brett Favre at the end. People were like, well, Brett, it's near the end. And I personally know some Packer fans that were like, they were ready for Aaron Rodgers to take over, and they were upset that Brett could even consider going to play for the Vikings. So it's not stunning, which is also, for me, another reason why this whole contract thing with Aaron Rodgers made him look really, really bad. All the other things. He watched it happen, and he was the beneficiary the first time around, and then the second time around, when it's his turn after all these years, now he's angry about the process the Packers are going to go with, and it's like, dude, they did it for you.
But
they're not going to do it again.
The big key difference,
Yeah.
Jordan Love's bad.
Yes.
But and so that's where he knew in this situation he had all the leverage. And maybe he didn't know that right away when they first made the pick.
Right.
But one key difference in this whole thing is Aaron Rodgers actually got to play a few games when Brett Favre was still there, and he looked pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. Jordan Love's played in one regular season game. That offense, didn't they get completely shut out in that game?
Yeah, and we got to remember, at that time, Favre was talking about retirement like each year. The Packers got to be like, okay, we're gonna call your bluff on one of these times. Aaron Rodgers is far superior to what Brett Favre was at that time. And he's never been talking really about retirement in the public scape. And with Jordan Love, they didn't draft a offensive playmaker for Aaron Rodgers in his whole career in the first round. Not one. And when they finally do, they draft his replacement.
That's when the feud started.
Exactly.
Yes.
I would be pissed too. Like, give me a wide receiver. Give me a tight end. Give me a guy that is a bona fide star, and I'll work with him, and I'll make him a Pro Bowler. I'll make him a Hall of Famer. Think about all the people he's worked with. Would you call any of the wide receivers or any of the tight ends he's worked with Hall of Famers? I mean, Jordy Nelson's not a Hall of Famer. Greg Jennings not a Hall of Famer.
They got half of Jimmy Graham.
I mean, maybe Devontae Adams eventually will be a Hall of Famer.
Probably.
Jimmy Graham might be a Hall of Famer, probably a Hall of Famer. But he didn't play very well with the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, Adams is the best.
Yeah.
The best
so,
player
he's doing all this work with second, third, fourth rounders. It's very admirable.
That's what good quarterbacks do, though. I mean, Tom Brady, has, outside of Randy Moss and Gronk. Do you see over these next 4 years, is it you pencil in the Packers atop the next four, or can any of the three NFC North teams bubble up and really make a big play? And not even counting the Bears, but can the Lions or Vikings get there?
Well, I mean, they certainly are the favorite, the Packers. Obviously, they clearly have the best quarterback in the division. But, I do think that these cap issues are going to continue to be issues. I think, the thing that's different, the thing that really hurt the Bears last year was the pandemic and the fact that for the first time in almost a decade, the cap went down. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen going forward. So the Packers are operating under that assumption going forward. The Bears were too. No one saw a worldwide pandemic coming, and that really, really hurt the fact that they were kicking the can down the road with so many contracts. So the Packers will have that luxury that, I mean, I guess it could happen again, but I think that even if this thing does bubble up again, everyone's learned their lessons enough that, the league can go on, and that probably won't happen. So they're probably going to be fine. They're probably going to be the favorite. I think the Bears are probably in the best position to maybe challenge that just because they have Justin Fields. And I think we're going to see the Vikings here move on from Kirk Cousins. Jared Goff's not getting it done in Detroit. So it's just who's going to be able to challenge them enough in this division. I don't necessarily have that answer right now.
Yeah, I'm not doing a homer thing, but the Bears have the best chance to dethrone the Packers in the 4 years that Aaron Rodgers is signed for. I mean, we've had GMs and coaches change in each of the other teams in the last year and a half. Like, every single team, because of the Packers' dominance in the NFC North, is like, you guys are all out of here. We're cleaning house. And like you said, Kirk Cousins is a above-average quarterback. They're going to be saying goodbye to him in Minnesota because he's probably the hottest trade commodity right now. That's going to be another rebuilding thing out there in Minnesota. We have the best shot because I think we have the best quarterback besides Aaron Rodgers in the division. Because I think Jared Goff is.
What if the Vikings go out and get Deshaun Watson, though?
Well, then they're second.
Yeah, but they'll be second, but will he be in jail? I don't think Deshaun Watson should be playing NFL football for a long time.
Is Deshaun Watson in jail better than Kirk Cousins? Not in jail.
Yes. They let him out. Like work release program, plays on Sundays, goes right back in. I mean, I'm a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. I'm kidding. He's all right. He just doesn't win. Like he's just.
It's crazy. He's like the 5th best quarterback in the NFC right now.
Is he though? I mean, he is, but like
that's insane.
Would you? Let's see. Would you want Kirk Cousins instead of Justin Fields going forward?
Oh no.
Okay.
I just meant that like in terms of how bad the quarterbacks are in the NFC right now.
Yeah, but you would take Aaron Rodgers over Justin Fields right now going forward. Yeah, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like Kirk Cousins, he'll just win you enough games just so you could be mediocre.
Yeah,
That's what he did in Washington. That's what he does in Minnesota. He'll do that in Carolina, wherever he gets traded to.
the Bears have the second best chance right now, but really the best chance is Aaron Rodgers being hurt. That's the number one chance. So let's say he's healthy for 4 years. The only chance the Bears have is a lot of question marks going correctly. Number one, Justin Fields would have to be a star. Number two, their coach would have to be good. Number three, their GM would have to be good. Number four, they'd have to find a wide. I mean, like, you can go down the route. Like, there's a lot of question marks. A lot of things have to go right if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy for the Bears to even scratch at their door a little bit the next 4 years. Let's be honest. Like, it's just true.
All those things will happen.
Sure.
No question.
Well, it's almost St. Patrick's Day. Why not? A little luck wouldn't hurt. All right. Hey, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use the CHGO code when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You're even going to get a free dope shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker.
Dope shirt.
Hashtag dope merch. Any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com. We'll help you out. And remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature. It's live NBA same-game parlays. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game, and you can sign up now online in Illinois. Signing up with the fastest sports book is now easier than ever. Start living your bet life in seconds. I did it. It took less than 5 minutes for sure. Use the CHGO code to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And Luke, speaking of CHGO, we have podcasts every day for all the teams, the Bears, Sox, Cubs, Bulls, and Blackhawks. And speaking of those last two teams, they have post-game shows, pre- and post-game shows. I watched the Bulls post-game show last night with Matt Peck, Big Dave, and Will Gottlieb. Awesome. You guys should be tuning in every show. Hit the notifications bell on your YouTube. Hit the notifications bell on Twitter. Premium written content from guys like Adam Hoge, my guy Vinny Duber doing the White Sox, and dope merch.
And dope merch.
Oh, man, dope merch. The dopest of merch. I feel old, too. Like, we're both old, too.
Yeah.
You're kind of old, and you're a young cat here. You can say
I'm not
You're the young
anymore.
one here.
You're the young
Yo,
one. The problem-
I hurt my back in the middle of the night last night picking up my baby. Like, it's starting to deteriorate.
Did you do it like sneezing like Sammy?
Hey, that's not a funny thing. I've done that multiple times where you reach back and you're like, every time I think, you know what? I misjudged Sammy on that because my back's killing me now. And I will point out also, not only am I the oldest guy here, I'm the shortest guy. It's like we got the Giants down at one end and another Giant on the other side. And then
I'm sawed off.
Look at this. I'm
Jets.
barely getting up to the microphone. I feel like I got to
Luke,
jump
man.
up to reach the microphone.
Grandpa Stucky, little old Luke.
My feet barely reach the
LOL.
ground.
Well,
I'm
I used to be
5'10".
taller, but now I'm shrinking. You know.
Oh no.
All right, let's do some drafting, right?
Well, before I do that, let me just give you got to get a free shirt to become a member. A free shirt, adult merch, and then a members-only Discord you're going to be invited to. You can talk to me, Luke Stuckmeyer, maybe even Adam Hoge, and Kevin will chime in once in a while. So go there right now. allchgo.com. Become a member.
Cool. All right, we're doing some drafting. We'll try to do a lot of these drafts on the CHGO podcast, which we will hold every Thursday. It's kind of the Voltron of podcasts where we talk. So we led with Aaron Rodgers talk, and I thought, what better way than to do an all-time Chicago sports enemies draft? And I actually called the field here to 16 of the people I've most hated in my life as a Chicago sports fan. I want you guys to try and pick the most evil team. The only rule here is that you have to have one from each sport. And you guys can look at the field there. Got our man Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Charles Martin, And the only Chicago athlete on this list, Cody Parkey. NBA's LeBron James, John Starks, Isaiah Thomas, and Grayson Allen. So we've got a little topical entrant there. Major League Baseball's Yadi Molina, Ryan Braun, Albert Bell, who is a Chicago athlete, and Joe West. And the NHL, we've got the Sedin twins, Rafi Torres, Chris Pronger, and Dino Ciccarelli. Herb, I think you're up first on our draft board. We're going to do a little bit of a snake draft here.
Okay.
Lawrence, can you cue up the graphic? All right.
Boy, there's a lot of honorable mentions that could have gone on that list, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know you scaled back the list, but
We did. There's no Red Wings.
I mean,
we could have really gone through there.
Yeah.
there's no more person that's more evil to me than Brett Favre. I mean, sending unsolicited pics to a young female reporter is detestable, and what he did to the Bears during his career was also bad. So my first pick is Brett Favre. He's a terrible dude. I do not like him, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is much better of a quarterback and person than he is.
Brett Favre, first off the board.
What the hell is he doing here?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. Hate him.
I detest him every day.
Look, in Chicago, the enemy number one, particularly in the past 30 years, is Packers quarterback. I don't think there's really anyone else that could really go off the board more than him. So I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers
Also
at number 2, and we don't need to go into any more detail because we just did for 20 minutes.
Now, can I we don't have to go all NFL here in the first round.
you
right?
can pick
We just got to
anyone.
pick one from each.
Right.
Easily. Got it. Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to my childhood here and pick the guy I would have taken number 1 overall, John Starks.
Wow.
Can't stand him.
How did he fall to 3?
You know, anybody who says otherwise, it's recency bias. You're forgetting the 90s. You do not understand how much this guy was a villain. It's detestable that he ever played for 5 minutes on the Chicago Bulls. That's like the mayor Daley probably at that time should have vetoed that somehow, said, nope, not allowed, can't do that, passed some law to make sure that couldn't happen. John Starks, he would have been my number 1 overall pick.
That's huge.
He had of anybody on that list, like Aaron Rodgers has the ponytail that kind of drives me crazy. He just gives you that smug look. But John Starks had that face that you just wanted to punch. Every time he came up on the screen, he had kind of like puffy cheeks. Like you just wanted to punch your TV a little bit and get him off of it. He's up on that list for sure.
You got 2 picks, Luke.
2 picks. Well, I don't like that part, but
Snake draft.
see, I think the NBA list is strong, and so I'm not going to go there right away because I could go any of those, and I could add a few like Reggie Miller and be happy with that too. Mm-hmm. The baseball part's tough because you're choosing for a different fan base. As a Cubs fan, I'll go Yadier Molina. Can't stand the guy.
Ooh.
Can't stand Yadier Molina as a Cubs fan, and there's a good list of guys there, so I'll go Yadi there. And I have to go Rafi Torres for the Blackhawks fans. What a scumbag player he has been in his career. Like you can't find me somebody that's like, oh, Rafi Torres is my favorite player.
Yeah.
He's just a dirtbag.
Yeah.
He's not even good. He's just a thug.
I was up in the 300 level the night that he took Marian Hossa out of his skates. And from however many feet away that is, it was just like, wow, that's the dirtiest hit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And one of the cleanest, nicest, best players in NHL history. Just like
and
a good guy.
And Hossa wasn't right for a long while after that.
No.
I mean, that was a serious concussion that really affected him, and thank God that he recovered from it to really come back, and they won 2 more cups after that because of what Marian Hossa did. But Rafi Torres, I mean, if had things gone a slightly even worse, that would have been lights out for Hossa's career.
Yeah, I would have taken him 2nd overall.
Wow.
Torres, like he was absolutely the worst guy you could have had in the NHL at that time, and I'm not sure it's been top since. So I love that pick from you. All right, for my 2nd round pick, I gotta go Joe West. Joe West.
Sox fan checking in.
Screw Joe West.
Do we have Hawk Harrelson on
do we have
line
a-
3? Because Hawk agrees with that.
Yeah.
Do we have a Hawk soundboard
Actually, they
yet?
like you. They're buddies now.
Yeah, they're friends
They're
now.
buddies now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patch
Cowboy
things up.
Joe and I are not friends. We won't be friends. So, yeah, I got to go Joe West. We'll never forgive him for the Mark Burley incident.
Literally, I was thinking, like, how do you throw out one of the best people of all time?
Like,
And like, give Mark Burley some credit. He's not that guy who's a hothead. Should give him some leeway. God, Joe West, just making me mad right now. I hate him.
like Hawk's reaction in that moment was perfect. Slightly ridiculous, but perfect because it was totally justified. It was. I still can't believe that incident happened. So yeah, Joe West.
The reason that's a great pick too is because both sides of town can't stand the guy.
Yeah,
You know, it's not just Cubs fans don't like him or Sox fans don't like him. Most baseball fans are, you know, they did that whole parade of this is his last game. And I was thinking, who's out there like going crazy and cheering for Joe West on this goodbye campaign? Like, not in Chicago, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So, okay, I would have gone a little bit strategic here because I'm on this panel with another fellow Badger basketball fan and Badger alum and Adam, which is part of the reason he's here. So I would have taken Grayson Allen
That's the
because
only
we
reason.
hate Grayson Allen.
Yeah.
But you already took John Stark, so I can leave him exposed here. I know I'm
because
tipping
I
my
can't
hand
pick
here.
him. Yeah.
I know Herb is going to probably ruin my buzz here maybe.
By the way, that shows you how much I really hate John Starks that I would have passed on Grayson Allen.
Right.
Because the Grayson Allen hate, as much as it is for Bulls fans right now, if you also happen to be a Wisconsin Badger fan, it runs so much deeper because he killed your only opportunity to ever win a national championship.
I do love that Bucks fans have to root for him.
Yeah, there's in Wisconsin, there's like Badger fans that now have to root for him.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go Ryan Braun, who is Aaron Rodgers' good friend. I don't know if they're still great friends.
Makes sense that they're
They
friends.
used to run really, but
Yeah.
Ryan Braun was a guy that kind of came in that wave of 2007, and it looked like he was really going to define the next era of baseball with guys like Justin Upton and great player. And what Ryan Braun did with the PEDs and then throwing, was it a UPS driver under the or
Yeah.
a DHL driver under the bus?
Blamed it on the
Urine
driver,
Yeah,
yeah.
he lost his job, livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
you
such
gotta
a
be a
weird
bad
thing
guy.
because, that Brewers team, Prince Fielder, one of the most likable athletes. I mean, you got to love Prince Fielder. And Ryan Braun was a little bit likable for a while. Mm-hmm. Then he just went straight villain. He had that really bad appearance in Maryvale after that whole thing. And then he just had he was there for 10 years. And I don't even think Brewers fans like him.
He wasn't good.
Chicago fans
after
certainly
that.
don't.
His last couple years, he was just a
imagine
liability
that.
on the Brewers.
Imagine that.
Didn't have the juice with him anymore. My two picks, I'm going to pick Chicago's own, Isaiah Thomas.
All right, I got
man,
Grayson
that's-
then.
Yeah.
He is persona non grata in this city. He, the CBA, is not a thing anymore because of Isaiah Thomas. Not to even mention the Pistons-Bulls rivalry and all the dirty stuff he did with the Pistons against the Bulls. And so, yeah, Isaiah Thomas, he's just not a good guy. And I love that Jordan shut him out, even though Jordan says he didn't. Shut him out of that dream team, and Magic's taking the blame for that. I love that Jordan's like, nah, I ain't playing if that man's playing. So get off of my team, Isaiah Thomas. And I'm going to go with a surprise one, only because I want to use the reference, which I think only a couple of you guys are going to get, the Sedin twins.
Yeah.
Just one of the guys. That movie back in the 80s where the lady dresses up as a guy so she can win some award. Yeah. There's a scene in the gym where there's two twins. They don't like to be separated, so they pick teams for a ball game, and when they're getting separated, they make this visceral sound like, ee! I feel that's the Sedin twins. When they got drafted, they both had to be drafted by the Canucks. They both had to play in the same line. They had to retire at the same time. You're grown men. You can be away from your brother for 5 seconds.
What's interesting is that Canucks team had a lot more detestable characters.
Lots more.
The Sedin twins, from all accounts, generally they're gentlemen off the ice. But, yeah, they whine on the ice.
Yeah.
They kind of had that little evil Bond villain look.
And they represented the Canucks, even though they were probably not of the Canucks and what they did. They were the face of the Canucks for that whole time.
Burrows, Kessler.
Oh, I
all
love
worst
by-
guys.
guilty
I
by
love Roberto
association.
Luongo.
Guilty by association.
Luongo's fun now,
He's
but
awesome.
at the time. Isaiah Thomas is interesting because he kind of belongs to that really weird fraternity of people who are from Chicago and Chicagoans don't claim. Mm-hmm. So it's like Isaiah Thomas, Coach K. No one's being like, hey, Chicago's favorite son, Coach K, hanging up at Duke. No one here cares.
No. R. Kelly.
R. Kelly definitely heard.
Oh, we're going sports. My
He's
bad.
to the top of the list
Jim
now.
Belushi.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. So that's a really weird subset. I'm up again. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm locked into Grayson. So I have my pick here between Chris Pronger and Dino Ciccarelli, right? So I missed the whole Dino Ciccarelli really era. Like that was the Minnesota North Stars, Chicago Blackhawks rivalry, which doesn't exist because who can hate a Minnesota Wild? Like what is a Wild, right?
What is a Wild?
But
Their
Dino
arena smells
Ciccarelli
like
was like
donuts.
the ultimate instigator. 4 straight years the Hawks and North Stars played, and Al Secord and Dino would go against each other. But then you got Chris Pronger, who you've got that joint Blues/Flyers thing. But I'm going to go Dino because what a red ass that guy was.
Well, I guess that locks me in the Pronger, but that's probably who I would have picked between those two anyway. All right, so I got to pick an NFL guy here. Got to go Cody Parkey.
Double doink.
I got to go Cody Parkey. Cody Parkey made my entire offseason, a living nightmare, covering a kicking competition. It's personal,
God.
right? No, like the one good season, and I've been covering the team for 11 years now. The one good season ended that way, right? And we're all looking at our flights to go to LA the following week, and what's going to happen. The Bears are going to make a run, and then it ends like that, and then the entire offseason was about kickers. So I'm going Cody Parkey.
And the Today Show appearance.
Yeah,
That
that was
was-
the worst.
That's what
That was
puts it
not a
over.
good
It wasn't
idea.
just the.
Even for his teammate,
Yeah.
short-lived teammates.
And that's
that was
something that
not a good
Nagy took
idea.
a stand on. You talk about him not taking a stand against Aaron Rodgers. That Nagy was not about that.
Right, which is why sometimes. Well, I mean, and I understood that definitely why it was a very me type thing for him to do, and he didn't listen to the team on doing that, and So yeah, pretty easy choice there.
So it's my turn?
Yeah.
And I have to go Charles Martin in the NFL.
You
And
do?
obviously the reason he's on there is he's the guy that body slammed, right? Jim McMahon.
Right.
When Jim McMahon in his prime for the Bears, where you were thinking this is gonna work out well again. Like he was another dirty player. We've got a pretty good list of dirty players on there, and Charles Martin will always be hated by Bears fans for body slamming Jim McMahon.
Do you know who the referee was for that game?
Ed Hockley, that's all I can come up with.
Chicago's own Jerry Markbright.
Oh,
We don't claim him, just like so many.
I do. Jerry's a good guy.
Okay. And that takes me to the NBA for my last pick. I mean, for me, it's easy. There is a respect for LeBron James. It's LeBron James, the player that I'm talking about. I think he does some good things in the community. It's the constant, and this one's not his fault, the constant comparison to Michael Jordan. I don't want to have that conversation ever again in my life. When somebody brings it up, I just stay out of it because it's so ridiculous and stupid. My issue with him is the jumping around to different teams and the decision, which was obviously a horrible, horrible move. I can't stand that he's gone everywhere, and when he goes there, he demands certain things. They win, but as soon as it goes wrong because of his decisions, see ya, I'm out of here, I'm moving on to the next best show. And to me, that is not the way a superstar player should act, in my opinion. It's obviously his prerogative to act that way. I'd rather see a guy like Tim Duncan win, stay there, rebuild with new guys, rebuild again with new guys, and keep winning that way, as opposed to just jumping all over the NBA, grabbing a friend and hoping it works. And when it doesn't, somebody's got to go. This guy's terrible. Give me somebody else. I'm out of here. You know what? He's going to end up in Cleveland before it's over, and we know he's already said he'll play with Bronny before it's over.
Willie?
A great talent. Don't get me wrong. One of the greatest NBA players of all time.
Yeah. But he also prevented the Bulls from.
Yeah, and he was very unlikable on the Heat teams, on the Cleveland teams, you name it. He's been unlikable for Bulls fans. So I feel good about LeBron as my 4th-round pick.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. Oh, I got Chris Pronger here in the last round, and this is all just from 2010 Stanley Cup Finals?
Well, with the Blues. And
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have much stronger opinions about the Sedin twins and definitely Rafi Torres, but
What about David Backus? That's a name I know we were throwing around yesterday. Wakey would have been.
I think we struggled filling out that Hawks thing because there's a lot of unlikable Red Wings. Obviously, the Red Wings were such a foil. They were like the Aaron Rodgers to the Blackhawks for a good 20 straight years. Could never beat them. It just didn't matter. But there was a begrudging respect for Nicholas Lidstrom and Pavel Datsyuk. You hated Bob Probert, but then he ended up here. It was just tough. So you have to go with Pronger. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, it's all right.
And that big buff hit on Pronger is an all-time Chicago highlight.
Yes.
When he just drilled him. I'm going with Grayson Allen. I'll take it. I thought that maybe Luke was going to play spoiler there. I didn't realize that I left myself exposed, but I appreciate that, Luke. The coffee this afternoon is on me.
Oh, well, I'm taking that. I'll take you up on that.
And I got to go with Albert Bell. His 2 years here with the White Sox were amazing. They were awesome. But he did most of his damage in the second half where the White Sox were way out. He's still, I think, in 1998, that's still the best offensive season in White Sox recent history. So
he was
good
insane that year.
Yeah, he was great. But the Fernando Vina thing where he pretty much forearm shivered him at second base, the Hannah Storm thing where he's berating her, and I think he threw a baseball at a reporter too.
Did he throw fireworks at kids?
Yeah, cork bat.
Trick-or-treaters? Cork bat
like a snowball at Santa Claus.
Cork bat at Sox Park.
Yep.
And I think it was
Jason Grimsley had to go through to the umpire's room and take it back from him. Like, there's a lot of stuff. And Omar Vizquel said, and he's also a detestable guy.
Yeah.
He said that all Albert's bells were corked. So, and we're forgetting about, and I just looked it up. I remember he got either egged or ding dong ditched by some kids, and he chased those kids down and hit one of them with his car. So yeah, he's been in jail after his career too. So Albert Bell is a horrible human being,
and those Indians teams were pretty much unlikable, and
except for Jim Thome. That was it. Yeah. Gentleman Jim was awesome, but all the rest of those guys, that was right after the strike of 94, 95, and I was like, all right, here we go, White Sox, and the Indians just went and hid from the White Sox.
You gotta love that Thome is claimed by 4 different teams. Everyone thinks that they're their most special team to Jim Thome.
And Cleveland can't claim him. I remember when he was on the White Sox, the Cleveland Indian fans booed him lustily until he came back late in his career. I'm like, no, you can't.
Where does he live now, though? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Lives here and works for the White Sox.
All right. So look, I'm looking at right now at this field. I honestly don't know about you guys. I actually kind of like Herb's the best. I think Herb won this.
Ooh. I mean, the Sedin twins are too nice to be detestable.
It's a real good list. If you were like, oh, am I going to add one guy as an asterisk at the bottom of my list? Yeah. Is there somebody I could think of a couple of them. For me, I love LeBron at the bottom there for my 4th pick, but man, I hated Reggie Miller almost as much as I hated John Starks. Respected him, like him now a lot.
Yeah.
But Reggie Miller, those Indiana teams had some unlikable guys on it too.
I mean, if you're
Pacer teams were
talking about a narcissist and a person that thinks the game is all about him, I think Adam won because he got that 2nd-round pick with Cowboy Joe.
It's just it's so ridiculous that a umpire is even a choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That just shows you how out of line he had to be all the time for him to be not only even on this list of potential picks, but drafted that high.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Chris Carter guy. I'd probably have Chris Carter on there.
Chris Carter, yeah. I tried to throw out the idea of AJ only because both sides of towns disliked him at one point. Sox fans couldn't stand him when he was with the Twins.
Not at all.
Now he's a hero for the White Sox, and Cubs fans are kind of man, I liked when Michael Barrett punched him. So at some point, AJ was disliked for both sides.
If you're watching the playoffs this year, Sox fans turned on him because they thought the broadcast was unfair with him and Adam Amin. Sox fans did not like AJ's broadcast. He's got to play it down the middle. He can't just be a Sox homer in there with with pom-poms and such. And so Sox fans, when Houston was pounding the White Sox, he was calling what was going on, and they're like, "Oh, come on, AJ, you're a White Sox." Like, so I'm sure White Sox fans are like, "Yeah, AJ's kind of a dick too."
Yeah, it's kind of on the White Sox fans if they're really. You're talking about the last game?
I'm talking about game 1 and game 2 in Houston. I think game 1 was done by Adam Amin and AJ, and game 2 was done by Bob Costas and other people. But game 1 in Houston, if you look at the White Sox Twitter, they detest AJ, and specifically Adam Amin. I think he had to shut down his Twitter and make it private because there was so much vitriol towards him, as if he was rooting against the White Sox. They were just getting their ass kicked. He was telling the truth.
Control your people, man. What's going on?
Hey, we are a feisty bunch.
Twitter was angry, huh?
I mean, White Sox Twitter is perpetually angry.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun, guys. We're going to talk a little bit Bulls and baseball lockout coming up. But if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you out. In case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois right now. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone, even by the time you're done with this podcast. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. All right, let's bring this home. Big win for the Bulls last night. Look, the Pistons are not a great team. They might be a promising team, but they're not a great team. DeMar came back and was fourth quarter DeMar. 40th win of the season. They got there very quickly. They're almost to last year's win total. But obviously they're having problems. They can't beat good teams. What, in your mind, would make this season a success from you going forward?
Making it to the second round of the playoffs would be a successful season. And remember, not having Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso is hurting them majorly. Like, when Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball are in there, they're one of the best defensive teams. They rate out one of the best defensive teams in the league. Now they're about 28th, 29th. So those things make a difference. Once those two guys come back and we get P. Williams back too, I think the Bulls will be a different team that can be better teams. I don't know why I didn't turn this sound off on my phone. It just keeps on going on. But yes, I think the Bulls, a second-round exit. I don't think they're the top 3 teams. The Nets are better than them, even though the record might not say so. The Miami Heat are better than them. The Bucks are better than them. And there might be other teams in there. But if they go and win the first round, I'm like, okay, at least you won a playoff series. Second round will be versus a much tougher team, and they'll probably bow out.
So first round for you.
Yeah.
No, they got to make it to the second round. First round, that's what
I'm saying. First round victory
first round match.
You're happy with that.
Oh, yeah. If they win a first round series, baby, let's go.
I'd agree. Win a playoff series for the first time in a long time. I also think a positive right now would be to focus on the 4 seed. Forget about, you're not getting the 1 or the 2 seed, but if you can get the 4 seed and get home court advantage for a series, it's something to build on. Then you win that series, you feel good about it. And I do think last night was one of those points where, for me, they were teetering on it a little bit. You lose 5 in a row, and it takes Tristan Thompson having a meltdown on the bench, and then they finally started playing defense, and they went to the basket like 4 straight possessions. It was Io. It was DeMar, then it was Zach, and like they got to the free throw line. They started playing tough basketball instead of just waiting for threes and working outside. And I think if you lose to the Pistons there, some alarms start to go off even with the guys that are coming back. But that is the saving grace that if you want to talk about a great season, that would be winning a second-round playoff game. And I don't think it's impossible if those guys come back and they play well.
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate because we really haven't seen the team at full strength for really the whole season how early Patrick Williams got hurt. And I also think it's probably somewhat unrealistic to expect them to just all come back and everything to click and all of a sudden they're, back to being at the top of the Eastern Conference. So I would agree with you guys. I think winning at least one, I guess I'll like kind of flip it and look at it the other way. If they don't win a first round series, like I'll look at it as a disappointing season. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think first of all, I had somewhat high expectations for this team going into the year, not like super high, but just like I expected them to make the playoffs. I bet the over on the wins,
one.
right?
Yeah.
And so, and then I think that what we saw early in the season even adjusted those expectations even more, and it's okay to adjust the expectations. So if they're really healthy going into the playoffs, if they don't win the first round series, that's all of a sudden it's a disappointing season to me.
I want to recapture some of that feeling that we had early on. I mean, it was a little bit of a surprise they gelled so well. DeMar has been unbelievable. And I think really, even though they haven't beat great teams, there was just this really great feeling like, hey, they're sticking in with some of the really good teams. They went out there, and not that the Lakers are a great team, but they beat the Lakers. And obviously the first-round victory is big, but I would like to see them go out, and they've got back-to-back games against Phoenix and Utah. Win one of those, if not both. I don't think it's going to happen. Phoenix is really good. Utah is really good. But I'd like to see them kind of come through and maybe get that. And they've got another great game at the Garden, and maybe rekindle that rivalry. Really get this rivalry going with the Bucks, because that Bulls-Bucks rivalry has never really been a great thing because they've never been good at the same time. So, yes, first round. And but, yeah, let's just feel special about this team again. And this five-game losing streak came at a bad time for CHGO, but it came at, it's really hard for Bulls fans to reconcile right now. So thank God it's over. Let's talk about the baseball lockout, which is not over unless it happened here. Is it close? Okay. Yeah, I can't even read the comments. Maybe if people keep us updated there, but is this going to really affect baseball in Chicago? Obviously, from a national perspective, baseball is already reeling. It's not good from a PR, but once that lockout is lifted and we get opening day set on both sides of town, is it going to be water under the bridge, or do you think it's going to have a lasting effect similar to 94?
I mean, I don't necessarily think there's going to be – I think there'll be enough excitement that baseball's back that it, in the short term, people, especially White Sox fans, are going to be excited because they have a good team to root for. My concern, though, is just I'm in the camp of longtime baseball fans who feel like the sport's losing me a little bit, and that's what I'm worried about. And I took my son to the last playoff game, and it oddly was one of the most fun games I've been to, despite the result. The White Sox got killed. Because my son had so much fun at the game. Like, he didn't care what the score was. He was just and so like to kind of and my dad was there, and we had the same experiences when I was young. So like, to me, that's what baseball is all about. And it's just becoming, maybe it's just me getting older, I don't know, just seeing the sport. I'd never say the sport's dying, but it's bleeding. Like, I look at our four major sports, and you can even go into so like the WNBA is on the rise, women's soccer is on the rise, MLS is on the rise, NFL sure as hell is on the rise, NBA keeps getting popular. I don't know about the NHL, but they're probably doing okay. Like, baseball's the one sport that clearly is going the wrong direction to me, and that's what
You think it's going the wrong direction in Chicago, though?
Yes, I do.
We do love our Cubs.
Yeah, I do.
I get what you're saying. It is a very regional
It's a
sport.
parochial sport, yes.
Yeah, and in Chicago, I think those games are always going to be important on both sides of town, where maybe in some other cities, that's where they're really – I feel bad for Sox fans currently because they're getting to miss their team getting ready to peak and head into their prime of this rebuild, and it's like you should get to see every game of that's possible. You should see all 162. You shouldn't have to see a shortened season. You shouldn't have to wait to see him come back and have that opportunity again. I don't think long-term on the north side is that, people worry about the money. They say the money. On the north side, they're building a sports book over there. They've got money coming in. You look at
they're buying Chelsea too now. So what about the money?
Forget that. The money part is fine, and the diehard Cub fans will come back, and the diehard Sox fans will come back. What you have to worry about losing is the people that are currently just like, no big deal, and I'm going to go back to playing Fortnite or whatever else it is, or I'm going to go back to watching YouTube or CHGO all day, whatever it might be. We like that part of it. But, there's so many other options than just sitting around watching baseball for 3.5, 4 hours. It's the fringe fans.
Look at this. Mark Feinstein from New York Reporter. As I just reported on MLB Network, no, I can't see that. Anyway, if the CBA is ratified today, opening day would likely be April 7th. That would be big because right now we have 4 series canceled that they've wiped off the books, and we're looking. Had another 2 weeks been wiped out, it would have been the Cubs and Sox would have been opening day on May 3rd.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and also
cool.
in there, the business of baseball would open tonight. There's still a lot to figure out in the offseason, and part of the problem right now is all the publicity is just bad. The fighting looks terrible. Yeah. There are no winners, and it's just bad for the game. And meanwhile, the NFL every single day is coming up with Russell Wilson's getting traded, Carson Wentz is getting traded, and next week is free agency in the NFL. So baseball is just continually just getting shellacked here. So it would be big. Could you imagine if this thing got figured out in the next couple hours and we spend the rest of the day talking about Major League Baseball free agency
tonight?
Yeah, you got to start getting some of that magic back.
But to answer your question, Kevin, it's March 10th. You're going to start the season April 7th. White Sox have a lot of work to do. Yeah. Still got to trade Craig Kimbrell. Still have to sign a right fielder or a second baseman or a DH.
That's all we want to do is talk about this stuff.
It's just everywhere. Rick Hahn is very, very busy. He has to do all these things, and he can't talk to any of the agents, any of the players. All these things are bad for the White Sox. As I brought up, the work stoppage in '94, the White Sox were winning that division. They were up a game over Cleveland. When they resumed, Cleveland took over, and that was the Cleveland pretty much the rest of the second half of that decade. I don't want that to happen with the Tigers, who are coming, or the Twins, or now the Guardians or the Royals. They're in a division that they should win, but these things they equal up the division more than they should, because the White Sox will have to go and get some players in a hurry while these other teams are already ready. The Tigers have a whip. They have a good team, and it's maybe not this year, but they're coming. And so, yes, it's unfair to White Sox fans that we're in another work stoppage while we're in our contention, our window of contention.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Ryan Poles is signing free agents before
Rick Hahn?
I sure hope not.
Yeah. And by the way, some of these things that they're talking about are negative to the White Sox too. This issue with the international draft. Yeah. It's the argument is that small market teams should have access. I'm the White Sox are a small market team in a big market, and they're doing just fine in the international market. So they don't need a draft.
They did their work early. They did the Mini Minoso. They did the Jose Abreu, and they've ingratiated themselves to the Cuban player. And that's why they want to come here.
So they
Luis
should be
Robert
punished
and
for that.
On trade with Yohan Moncada. That will hurt for the White Sox not getting access to the Cuban player who would otherwise side with the White Sox and come and sign with them. As we got Colas ready to go in Cespedes too. Both of those guys are ready in the minor leagues. So, yeah, that's going to hurt the White Sox big time.
Yeah. What's the first thing you want the Cubs to do?
They've got a wish list we talked about on the CHGO Cubs podcast, and I would say one of them, with Cody Hoyer being hurt now, is a high leverage reliever you've got to have. I still think they need a left-handed bat. I would love to see them add a starter. And I know you guys talked about Carlos Rodon, and you're going to talk about that. Carlos Rodon fits on the north side. That's not a bad guy to add. I think if you want to really show Cubs fans that you are competing now, the one name that came up yesterday was out of the blue, and I think it's crazy. If you go out and add Freddie Freeman to the Cubs with Stroman, all of a sudden you go, all right, you're serious. You're not just dragging us along for 4 more years. Do something big. That's really what I'd like to see. One more big move.
That'd be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get there, and hopefully we get to that tailgating that you mentioned on last week's CHGO podcast. I'm still looking forward to that and making some concrete plans once we get some dates on the books. But, hey, that will do it for this week's CHGO podcast. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit up allchgo.com, unlock that membership for all the great writing. Our Sox and Cubs writers are pumping out content, even now when there's really nothing to do, and putting those plans in place. Our Bulls guys are doing great things, and, of course, our Bears guys, led here by Adam. Some great content. Unlock that. Get a free shirt while you're at it. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Kaduk, Adam, Luke, and Herb. We'll see you next week.